Welcome. Joe Volpe, publisher of the Corriere Canadese and North America's only Italian-language daily newspaper, on behalf of Go Live TV and Corcan Media Group with today's commentary. It couldn't be anything other than the great big theater that is developing at City Hall and at Queen's Park. And it's entitled Doug Ford's Might is Right Political Treatise. So, a judicial decision on Bill 5. Well, what can you do and what you should do, balancing rights and fairness. Now, my view is that judges with a sense of humor can wrap a legal argument around any nonsensical event or unimportant event. Read Judge Bilobaba's argument supporting his decision to strike certain sections of Ontario Legislature's Bill 5, the act which, in part, reduces the number of wards in Toronto City Council from the proposed 47 to the, well, perhaps 25. They come down to this. The province has the jurisdictional authority to do this, but the timing is inconvenient. Therefore, it impacts negatively on the freedom of expression, a charter right, of some aspirants to political office. The timing issue is one the province could have avoided by consultations with those affected. Now that is a legal principle. Audi alteram partem. Listen to the other side. Incidentally, it's how the Federal Appeals Court justified stopping the Trans Mountain extension of the Kinder Morgan pipeline, much to the chagrin of Prime Minister Trudeau. He had not done enough consultation with the Aboriginal communities. A costly oversight, which, if not appealed, will result in a needless expenditure of $4.5 billion by Trudeau's government to acquire rights to a pipeline to nowhere. Now, unwilling to risk a similar political rebuff, Premier Ford immediately announced that the province would appeal, and by the way, it would invoke the notwithstanding clause. For those of you who are unfamiliar with it, it's Section 33 of the Charter. That clause overrides Judge Bilobaba's decision. The legislature will reconvene Wednesday, tomorrow, to introduce and pass the appropriate legislation to put into effect that notwithstanding clause. Consequently, the election will proceed, as expected, on October 22nd, 2018, as per the 25-ward model. No one has suggested, not even remotely, that the province has no authority to do any of the above. Mayor John Tory, in a meeting with members of the National Ethnic Press and Media Council, admitted that had Bill 5 been proposed during the election campaign, he would have accepted the province's decision. Under the circumstances, he expressed no surprise that the province intends to appeal the judge's decision. The city would have done the same had the decision gone the other way. He, along with a phalanx of other municipal politicians, are astounded that Premier Ford would invoke the notwithstanding clause to achieve a, quote, political goal, end of quote. Surprise, faint. It's what political organizations do. Mind you, during the roughly 35 years since the signing of the Charter, only Saskatchewan once and Quebec have used its override provision. The notwithstanding clause was conceived as an extraordinary measure to be employed in exceptional conditions. Reduced to their essence, the arguments for its inclusion in the Charter aim to avoid what libertarians call, quote, judge-made laws, end of quote. In a perfect world, the notwithstanding clause would secure the primacy of the people's will and safeguard the democratic process. The judge didn't disagree. His interpretation of the breach of fairness and the freedom of expression for politicians affected by Bill 5 is founded on the contested timing factor. The election process had already begun, but had it? Judge Bilobaba chose May the 1st as the magic start date. That's when candidates could begin to declare their intention to run. Registrations to become official candidates would close 3 months later. Following the closing of those registrations, declared candidates would have almost another 3 months to campaign. For the sake of comparison, federal and provincial campaigns typically run for 5 weeks, give or take a few days. Even under the revised registration date, which is September the 14th, this coming Friday, in Bill 5, municipal candidates would still have their 5 weeks of campaigning. I don't have any skin in the game, so to speak. So the judge's choice was, put it politely, interesting. For me, the next election campaign always starts the day after the results of the previous one are confirmed. Doug Ford has decided to prove that might is right. In his view, he's already satisfied the legal principle of audi alteram partem. The public gave him overwhelming support on June the 7th. Will he risk eroding that support? Well, so far, he's not backing down. Joe Volpe for Corriere Canadese, Go Live TV, and Corriere Media Group, inviting you to stay tuned for the commentary in Italian and subsequently in Portuguese. Thank you.